Right now, I'm standing in my Earthen Amphitheater. Look at this thing. So I carved this out of the hillside last fall. Unfortunately, I didn't get finished before the rains came, and a big pile of clay up there, which is a big terrace. Once the water gets on that, that just turns into a muddy little quicksand bog. So you can't really work it once the rains come. So I had to sort of shelve the project until it dried out enough that I could finish it, and that time has come. We haven't had rain for about 5 days here, and that's all it took. A little bit of sun, a little less rain, and we're dried out and ready to dig. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carve a 4th terrace here, and just expand the, expand the size of the amphitheater, get a few more people around here. I designed this so that I can do up to 200 people in this amphitheater, doing yoga, doing meditation, watching a jazz concert, doing a book reading. This is going to become just a beautiful, beautiful event space when I'm done with it. But first things first, I have to be done with it. So I have to finish my terrace, and then you can see there's all of this topsoil piled up around the edges. That all needs to go back on the terrace, and I got to seed it out, and the rains are coming in 2 days. We're going to get weeks of rain again. We're here on the west coast, it's early April, so we don't get a lot of dry periods like this in the spring. So it's very important that I get this terrace done in the next 2 days, that I get the topsoil back on, and that I get it seeded out with some grass so that we can have some grass on it for the summer. So here we go. All right, here we are at the top of the amphitheater. Here's another view of it from the top. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take all of the clay from down here, basically that we're all sat on here, and we're gonna just move it all over to there, fill in that dead void, make a 4th terrace, and then of course the big terrace up here will form a nice 5th terrace that we can put an event tent on, or who knows. Sky's the limit when you have a big event venue like this. It's impossible to understand what's going to happen with it. We're also going to fix the drainage right here, and just basically clean this up, get all the topsoil put back on, get it flattened out, seeded out, and then when the rains come tomorrow night, be ready to grow some grass for the summer. So here we go. Just gonna turn myself around to get my blade pointed the other way. Always risky doing this stuff on the side of a big cliff. Don't want to throw yourself over the edge. So basically, I'm just going to be taking dirt from here and chucking it over there, and then we'll smooth it out and we'll form our 4th terrace out of this. Let's do it. I swapped around and pointed my blade this way because basically I'm going to have to push a lot here to make this happen. So I don't want to throw too much dirt onto my terrace below, so I'm going to have to be very cognizant of that. Let's just reorientate here. You can always scrape that dirt off, but it honestly isn't the easiest, so it's better to keep it off to begin with. And we're going to get a lot of rollers here. That's life. There goes a rock. Anyway, we'll clean it all up in the end. And I kept my big grading bucket on because this is my bucket that moves the most dirt. This is kind of all loose pack here. So my grading bucket's gonna bite right into it. It's also nice and flat, so if you're carving a terrace, it's kind of nice to not have any teeth on your bucket, so you can kind of make a nice flat level. And a lot of people call this a cleanup bucket. Okay, I guess. The problem with this bucket is it's 5 feet wide, so if you're trying to grab some logs or rocks or whatever, it's actually pretty hard. Really hard to precision place anything with this bucket, but it's really good at moving a lot of dirt, especially when you want to make flat areas. And that's grading. still pretty wet underneath, so that clay's pretty heavy down there. Sitting on the edge here, and the excavator is starting to kind of push this dirt down. You can see, so I'm getting to be at a little bit of an angle. Not the worst for right now, but eventually I'll have to reposition. Big question is going to become, how far down do I want to go? So it's going to be important to just head down there in a couple minutes and take a look at what I'm doing. I mean, it's only dirt, right? Take too much off, you can put some back on. It's not a big deal. Having said that, it's better to nail it and get it right the first time. And I don't want this terrace to be too big, this top one. So I gotta be cognizant of not taking too much material from over here. You know, if you look, this is actually great. So this little bit down here, this little slope, that's actually the natural slope of the hill from before I made this terrace. So you can imagine that originally, you can even see the sort of the slope line right there where the grass is. Originally from there, it was just a hillside that went down to here and continued on. Oh, look how that track just sunk right in there again. Potentially this can get dangerous because you can high bottom yourself. So you can sink so much that actually the bottom of the excavator is sat on the clay bed, and then your tracks just spin. So you can't actually even move. That sucks. Then you have to get another machine to come pull you out. So I don't really like this, so I'm gonna get out of this position. It's very soft. See that? See how that track sunk right in there? Alright. We have to get right out of here. This has gotten too uncomfortable. And it's not easy. So we'll try again. Over a little bit, keep going, keep digging. I mean, ultimately these are very, very heavy buckets. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if we're moving a half a ton of dirt with every bucket load there, because it's wet clay, and wet clay is very heavy. Look at that. Boy, could I make a great pond up here. Very excited to finish this amphitheater. I feel like this is going to be a great offering to the community here on my tiny Gulf island. A lot of people are going to have a lot of fun in this place for years, if not generations, if not centuries. Something like this could be here 1,000 years from now. 1,000 years from now, someone will roll through here and they'll be like, what the hell is this? When this is the only thing left and all the buildings are gone. But the earthworks last forever. Or maybe someone else buys this property, hates it, wants to turn this back to a hayfield. Well, all you gotta do is get out the bulldozer or an excavator. You can put this back to a hayfield probably in a couple days. It's a lot easier to destroy than it is to make. clay actually feels a lot softer than I was hoping it would be, which is going to kind of mess me up. Because I was hoping to put my excavator down on here, but look at that. It's kind of just quicksand mud. You see it just shaking around there? And the more you work it, the worse it gets, because the water kind of just gets in between all the clay particles. It really turns it to, you know, basically it just puts the clay into suspension and makes quicksand. But we'll keep going. See if we can get this done. If not today, then later in the spring, it'll happen. See how much we're sinking down into there as we dig. Always important to kind of look at what you're doing. So let's head down below for a sec. See what this looks like. It's me and the deer walking down here. I don't know if you saw those deer prints. Oh yeah. So we can come down, I'd say another foot on this one, which is good. I need more material for over here anyway. It'd be so nice if I could just drive down on here and blade it. Let's give it a try. Okay, well, I came back from lunch and I spent an hour working this terrace here, kind of, you know, pushing some dirt out. I'm actually sitting out on the new parts. The terrace used to end right there, but I pushed a bunch of dirt, dozer bladed a bunch of the clay out here and kind of extended it. And you can see in that time, it's been about an hour and a half since I was down there. Just the sun and the heat has actually dried that clay out quite a lot on the top. You can see a lot of that the clay on the top is kind of turned a light beigey gray color as it bakes in the sun. But you know, I know it's still pretty wet underneath. Nonetheless, I'm going to try getting down on there and making this terrace. Otherwise, I have to go down onto that terrace and kind of pull everything, which, you know, is great. It can be done. But it's going to be a lot easier for me if I can just get onto this terrace and work it from on top. So it could be the worst move I ever made, or it could work great. We're going to find out. All right, let's head down here, see what happens. First things first. Uh-oh. Well, already it's a big problem. Look at this angle I'm at here. Doesn't feel safe, so let's just back out of here if we can. Well, now we're in it. I don't really see any way out of this other than going down here while we still can, if we can. So this is not really ideal when you're excavating, have to go down a drop like this. And that just goes to show you, best laid plans of mice and men. That just did not work at all. It's okay though, we're not super trapped, we'll get out. Now, when you're going off a drop, you really want to use your bucket for support. So very regrettably, we're going to mangle this level below us, but that's all right. We'll just put it back together. This arm here is what's going to keep me from tipping over, right? So hold on to your horses. By the way, let's just go see what this looks like from outside, just for the fun of it for you. Better take my battery pack. So it's not horrible, but that certainly wasn't an ideal situation. And so yeah, so we're just gonna have to come down here and work this level from the bottom. So again, kind of sucks. We're gonna tear up this level. We'll just put it back together. Also, this one's pretty soupy in here too, so who knows what kind of problems we'll run into. About to see. Oh, camera got a little crooked. Let's fix that. There you go. All right, let's get out of here before something really bad happens to us. And of course, we came down in all this mud, and it's no good either. So we gotta lift ourselves out of the mud and just keep going. That was not ideal. Lots of problems now. Big question is, how do we fix them? Stuck in a little bit of a bad position. Maybe we can turn ourselves. Well, let's try going this way. Alright, we're safe. We made it. We're gonna live to play another day. So those are those little moments you get yourself into when you're excavating. Fortunately, we got ourselves out of that one. And it's always made so much more dangerous when you're sitting here playing on levels. You know, seeing as we've torn this up so badly, let's just go ahead and drain this level now. Because it's really just that standing water that's messing us up. If we didn't have that standing water here, we'd be having a lot more fun. So, yesterday I ended up down on this lower terrace, kind of by accident. If you were watching the video, I got trapped in the mud up there. And the only way I could get out was to bail out and come down this, you know, that's about, doesn't look like much on the video, but that's about a 5-foot embankment there. I don't know if you can tell better from down here. That's about a 4-foot embankment. So we had to kind of slide our way down there into this mud patch. And anyway, we ended up just tearing up this whole level. So we're gonna have to put it back together. Fortunately, we have a wrist bucket. So let me show you this wrist bucket. Here's a wrist bucket. It's pretty cool. It tilts back and forth. So that's pretty neat. So when you live on a hill like we do here and you're constantly excavating and grading on angles, the wrist bucket is really your tool of choice, because no matter what the angle of the excavator, you can always get your wrist bucket to the angle you need to make a flat, level surface. Doesn't move a lot of dirt, you know, you're looking at probably 1/4 of a yard in that bucket, maybe a bit less, but it does help you to finish things like these levels, and so that's what we're gonna do right now. First things first, I'm just gonna, I always had a bit of a problem with this level. It was too high on this end, so I'm just gonna dozer blade it out. Just push it out a bit, bring down the level, make it more like the other ones. And now with my wrist bucket, I can really nicely kind of finish everything off. So you can match all the angles of the terrain you're working on. Just kind of smooth everything out. Get it back to looking all pretty. There we go. Looks good. So backblading this, I mean, we can blackblade, but another nice thing with the wrist bucket is you can kind of use it almost like a trawl in concrete work, right? You can just kind of smush and smooth things out pretty nicely. In some ways, on a project like this, it's almost better than backblading, especially when you get into these complex angles down here. Smooth everything out. Make it look all perfect. You see, we got problems with the track marks. You know, this is quite wet still. We're in early spring here. Bit of a low spot here. This is it. Just like trawling concrete. Smooth it all out. Get it all looking nice. The other thing that's nice about doing this as opposed to backblading or using your dozer blade, particularly when the soil's wet, is you end up pushing all the big rocks down. And eventually we want to have, you know, this is an amphitheater. This is for people to hang out on and have a good time. And big rocks sticking up to the surface aren't a good time. People can fall on them, people put their knee on them. Little kids do weird things, or worst case scenario, someone actually pulls the rock out and then you have a big hole, another person walks on it and twists their ankle, and then they sue you. So we don't want any of that. So I'm just going to smooth this all out now with my wrist bucket. And then we'll have a nice smooth terrace. I'll show you this in the mud over here. This really is helpful when you have situations like this mud, because you can just kind of really smoothly trawl it all out. You know, probably backblading that or getting my excavator on that wouldn't be ideal. But with this wrist bucket, you trawl it all out, pushes all the big rocks down, and you end up with a nice flat surface that dries, better for your drainage, it's better for everything all around. So anyway, I'm going to take 10 minutes here or so and just go over this level, get it all nice and leveled, make sure that I have good drainage this time, unlike last time when we were collecting all this water here. To be honest, I did this the first time around, but I don't know why. For some reason it just settled just that much more here and was collecting water, and you know, collected water creates a big problem, as you can see. Good. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do this.